I just finished reading Legacy Wisdom of African Traditions and the Bible by Chris Morehouse and forward by Therese Taylor Steinson. And I just felt that I should leave my take on it. This is an interesting book, actually, that I've read in a long while. I mean, this is my first time reading a book with this concept, with this idea of African tradition and the Bible. I mean, I remember interviewing Chris Morehouse in time past, I think several months ago. And in my conversation with him, I'd asked him, why did you choose to write about African tradition, I mean, proverbs, etc. And, in my interview, I mentioned the fact that, despite the fact that you're an outsider, and I love the fact that in one of its forward section, he mentioned and acknowledged the fact that he's an outsider. And that actually makes me happy and makes me laugh as well. I was like, it's quite nice to recognize the fact that you're an outsider. So anyway, so this book actually it's like a compilation of African proverbs. I mean, proverbs in African country. Take for instance, we have proverbs have coming from Nigeria, proverb coming from Kenya, from so many places in Africa actually, and the fact that the author could come up with this idea, I mean, it's very strange to me, really. I consider it to be very, very strange because I was like, how did you come up with the idea of having a book written about African traditions and the Bible? So the author is more like trying to create a juxtaposition, a comparison between African proverbs and the proverbs in the Bible. Yeah, I think that's one of the crucial aim that is seek to mention here, trying to juxtapose the similarities between African proverbs from one country to another. I mean, there's sometimes they give illustration, samples of compare proverbs in Nigeria versus in Yoruba tribe to the one in Kenya to the one in Zimbabwe. I compare it to one that is a bit similar to what the Bible says. So in the book, you find so many proverbs about African proverbs, more particularly African proverbs, and the comparison, the similarity of it to some proverbs in the Bible. Yeah. So to me, I kind of think that this book is a very vast book actually, and to me, I think it's a well researched book. I mean, me reading through the forward, I was like, I was hooked actually. Me reading through the forward, I was hooked. I was taken aback, and I was like, this is so beautiful. So, as someone who is Nigerian and finding so many Nigerian proverbs in the book, it makes me laugh, especially the Yoruba proverbs and so many others that I marked and I would love to share with you in this review. Though my review of this book is actually going to be spoiler free, I won't be talking much about the book. I just want to give you a short video book recommendation so you can have an idea of what this book is all about. So there's a proverbs here that originated from where I am, Nigeria, that reads, "Only a fool takes the depth of a river with both feet." And I love the way Christopher classify or group these proverbs in a way that you can compare them to their country or to their source in terms of country of origin, and again create a similarity with them with biblical verses. Again, I particularly love his commentary and study guide section where he explains a particular proverbs that he had talked about in the previous chapter. And in the book, there's so many themes. I mean, the fact that I'm intrigued by the author's writing style, I'm intrigued by the depth of research put into the book. Even for him to have come up with the idea of writing a book like this, I don't know where the idea come from, but it's to me it's quite uncommon actually, and I need to commend him actually. It's quite uncommon and quite commendable, really. Yeah, and again, the fact that I consider the book to be very beautiful, I also like the fact that it is one that you read and you learn. I mean, you learn and you really, really learn. Because, reading the book, I've been nodding my head. I was like, wow, really, this is very deep. I love that word. I mean, the classification, the proverbs in there itself, it's one that would cause you to move, to think long after you read it. And beautiful enough, there's some poems. Well, there's some proverbs here that I'm very used to, especially the ones from Nigeria. And there's some that are quite alien, very strange to me, quite new to me actually. And I so much appreciate the fact that I could digest those words, look at how metaphorical and poetic African proverb sounds, and evaluate the weight of wisdom, the depth of wisdom that those words contain. It is beautiful. And that's one of the things that I kind of consider African culture to be very beautiful. And again, the proverbs in the book explore on different themes. I mean, the themes of love, they're on the theme of doubt, the theme of seeking, of golden rule, on the theme of sin, on the theme of forgiveness, on the theme of compassion, wisdom and foolishness, fruit of the spirit, mindfulness, confession, sowing and reaping, worry, community. There are also proverbs on the theme of prayer, anger, stumbling blocks, which I find most of the proverbs from different countries mentioned in there were quite philosophical. And again, there's a depth of philosophy. What I can say actually is the fact that from reading this African proverb generally, I could sense that the depth of philosophy in the book, the depth of philosophy in every single proverbs. I love it when certain words cause you to think, mull long after you've read it. So there's so many things. So there are also proverbs on the theme of hate, on the theme of vengeance, on the theme of violence, on the theme of appearances, on the theme of forbearance, on the theme of trusting in God, on the theme of nature of God, conscience, hope, peace, patience, gratitude, generosity, virtue, talent, prophet, leadership. Quite a lot of it, really. Lying, pride, greed, envy, which is very predominant in our current world today. There are also proverbs on the theme of idolatry, on the theme of good and evil, the theme of repentance, the theme of reconciliation, on the theme of abundant life and death. So there are so many things you can explore. There are so many things you can discover. There's so many things you can find out reading this book, which I find to be very pulling, quite captivating, lovely, awesome, and well written, actually. And again, there's a particular section where Christopher mentioned the comparison between words, oral, and wealth, oral. Both have the same spelling, different pronunciation, and different meaning. When I read that part, I was like, yeah, there is word, oral. There is words, which is called oral in Yoruba, and we have wealth, which is called oral in Yoruba. So in here, it was trying to compare and construct the wealth that dwells in words. Words are wealthy, words are powerful. And I love this comparison. Like I mentioned in Time Parks, this is one of the juxtaposition you get to experience in the book. As a Nigerian, really, reading through most of the poems coming from the Igbo tribe, from Yoruba, and my mom is from Igbo, where my dad comes from, and all the places are quite very beautiful actually. They're quite very beautiful, lovely, poetic, life changing, causing you to think long after you've read it. They're quite emotional. They're using contemplation too. They're the one that's quite debateful, more like I said too, philosophical. I would allow you to think again and again long after you've read it. So I can actually go on and on and on and on because this book is quite fantastic. And I'm quite impressed actually that someone who is not African could come up with an amazing book like this: Legacy, Wisdom of African Tradition, and the Bible. And one of the things that Christopher mentioned in the book, which I kind of find lovely, still on the topic of the words oral and wealth oral, is the fact that most people don't choose their word wisely nowadays, especially in the era of social media, where somebody can just stay behind keyboards and insult people on the internet and just type some things that can cause another person to feel quite down and emotional. Now, somebody myself who has undergone cyberbullying, who has been criticized so many times on social media, who have been called out so many times on social media. I could understand how those sometimes actually those words make me feel. Who have been insulted so many times on social media. I could understand how those words make me feel. And I just try to check them off my head and just say, "Okay, I shouldn't mind the criticism or the critique, let me just go on." But all of this still date back to the fact that we should consider our words wisely. before we say it. We should consider repercussion. We should consider the effect of our words on people that we are directing them to. And I love the fact that he mentioned the fact that not everything you need to reply to. I mean, not every conversation you have to involve yourself in, and so many, so many. I can go on and on. This part, reading this part of his book, is quite very lovely and quite, relatable to me. Really, yeah. I love to read a couple proverb. Next one from IT that says, "Before laughing at those who limp, look at the way you walk. Before laughing at those who limp, look at the way you walk. Before judging people, you take a look at your own self. Before criticizing people, before correcting people, look at yourself." Yeah, I think that's more like a literal meaning. Then there's one from Madagascar that says, "In a fight with a fool, it is a wise man who quits." Can you dig it? Can you get that? In a fight with a fool, it is the wise man who quits. Some people when having fight, you'll be like, "I will never relent. I will fight you. I will take this matter up. I will do this. I will do that." But that shouldn't be the case. I mean, me reading this was like, wow, that works it hard. I mean, in a fight with a fool, it is the wise man who quits. I love that so much. Then there's another one from Kenya that says, "To lose the way is one way to finding it." I think this is on the theme of stumbling block, actually. Yeah, to lose the way is one way to finding it. There's another one from Nigeria in page 94 that says that patient is the best of disposition. One who possesses patience possesses all things. And this is actually a very common proverb among the Yorubas in Nigeria. And I love to interpret that to Yoruba because it's very popular. So the meaning of that in Yoruba, it's suru ni babaiwa. Patient is the best of disposition. Ẹni ó ní sùúrù ó ní ohun gbogbo. He or one who possesses patience possesses all things. Sùúrù ní baba ẹwà, ẹni ní sùúrù ní ohun gbogbo. This is what mothers tell their children. I mean, even in African movies, yeah, Nollywood itself, if you watch this old, no, not the one they're doing currently, actually. If you watch the ancient Nollywood movie, where parents conveys meaning, proverbs to their daughter, to their son, because, most people, they are in haste to say make wealth, and sometimes they do something, involve themselves in some treacherous things, something quite very difficult and quite unpleasant. So back then in movies, you get to see so many proverbs. I mean, deep words of wisdom from the elderly people passing on to the young one. So this is more like you're encouraging someone not to be in a hurry. Because even there's another one, English, that say in haste to waste, not to be in a hurry. Koma sare moto lokolu keke, stuff like that. So many things actually I can go on and on. So all of this, even more than this, actually, there's so many proverbs. Yeah, so many proverbs. They call it Owe in Yoruba. Yeah, Owe. Proverbs is called Owe in Yoruba. And Yoruba itself, I think, in Nigeria, Yoruba should have the highest number of proverbs, yeah, then followed by Igbo. I don't know of Hausa tribe actually, because I've not really explored more in Hausa, but Yoruba and Igbo seems to have the most sweetest and beautiful proverbs that are quite worth following, that are life correctional. I mean, there's so many deep and express on different life issues. And I can go on and on. There's another one again in Nigeria that says the wealth which enslave the owner is not wealth. That's basically is not wealth. Actually, so I can go on and on and on with, Christopher Morehouse legacy, wisdom of African tradition and the Bible. It's quite beautiful to me. It's lovely. I love it wholeheartedly. It's a well-researched book, and it's one that I so much recommend to lovers of philosophy, African proverbs, lovers of tradition, and lovers of literature at large, actually. And if you watch this video book review and you would love to get a copy of Legacy, I left a link in the description part of this interview where I left a link in the description part of this review where you can get a copy of the book directly on Amazon. So thank you so much for watching my video book recommendation of Legacy, Wisdom of African Tradition and the Bible. by Christopher Morehouse. Thank you and see you in my next video. Goodbye.